right, everybody. This is Sick Talks number 109, a very special edition because I'm here in Los Angeles at the Adobe Max conference. And I'm wandering around. And so you're going to see some of this in transit. I'm also going to be walking with, funny enough, former Sick Talks guest Casey Lewis is here. But my guest today is Rex the Tiger. And the reason that I'm talking to Rex weirdly is because I got an email this morning saying Blu DeTiger is playing the show tonight. And so I know Rex is her drummer and as well as her brother, if I'm right, right?
That's right.
And so I texted Rex, who I have a really cool, I don't know, origin story with. And I was like, "Hey man, are you here? Let's meet up. Let's hang out." And he's like, "No, we're not here." And I'm like, "Okay, well then let's get on a podcast and do Sick Talks because we've been talking about that."
Yeah.
Well,
I know.
welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Yeah. It's Blue's just doing a DJ set, so it's not the full band this time. But I was gonna perhaps come anyway, but it didn't work out this trip.
Got it.
But yeah, it looks like a cool conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I got invited under kind of no pretense at all. It just a PR company reached out and said, "Hey, we want to send you to Adobe's big creativity conference." And then I was just like, "Okay, this sounds cool." And I would figuring out that I would run into people or that I would see friends like Casey, and it's been cool like that, but it's also been a little bit hard to understand everything that's going on. So
Hmm.
since that's what Sick Talks is about, period, Rex, like the idea of my newsletter, making sense of the world and talking to people who I think are smart and interesting, we should talk about how I found out about you, um, which is you came to a party at my house when I wasn't there
Hmm.
and you made business cards for it and you
That's right.
left them at my house. And I was sort of like, what happened here? How did it, like, what did Dietz do, essentially? But then I found out that you make business cards for everything, right?
That's
Like,
right.
so,
Like I
so,
got some
okay.
right here. I have a whole book here
Thank God. So,
of like
well,
one of each one. This is just
so,
one book. I have even more.
so I found this card. Wait, I lost Casey. Oh, shit. Oh, no. Okay. So you're a multidisciplinary artist
Hmm.
working as both a musician and what else does the art sort of entail?
Um, I would say the cards are part of it. I mean, they're also a promotional tool for people to get to my music and other things I do. I
Yep.
DJ as well. Um, but yeah, I'm working on a app right now. I've done an app before. Yeah, what are some other art projects over the years? I mean, various things that come up that are kind of like one-offs that are leading to another thing. But yeah, the
So
main
you're
thing
a
is music, and I collaborate a lot, very closely with my sister Blue.
so
Yeah.
so so f- you're I mean a classic, if you'll excuse the qualification, but you're sort of a classic creative multi hyphenate working across music, art, performance,
Hmm.
technology, etc. Like the classic. What is that?
Yeah,
You know,
I'd say so.
young
Yeah, and
millennial condition type thing.
that's right, and touring musician as well. I've been on tour a lot over the past several years as a drummer.
Got
Yeah.
it. Um, so the thing that struck me, and to describe for somebody who's not familiar with Rex's way of working. So Rex goes out a lot because of all of these, creative pursuits, and creates a set of business cards that he takes with him, each one customized to the moment that he's going out
Hmm.
to. So, for instance, the one I found on my dining room table when I came back from a trip, at which our mutual friend Goots was house sitting for me, said, "I met you at, or I met Rex the Tiger at Goots's dinner party."
Yeah, it said it was a pleasure meeting you at like Goots's wonderful. I have to see what the terminology was, but like Goots's amazing dinner party or something. Yeah.
something like
So
that.
then you thought, yeah, so you thought, oh my God, this must have been like the biggest party ever. But I was almost exaggerating because it was just like a small get together, but I like made it seem like it's some insane, incredible. I mean, it was still amazing and fun, but it wasn't like, so many
Yeah,
people that it
right.
was too much. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. We
Yeah.
returned to the house in good shape, so that was good.
Yeah.
But the thing that was really fascinating about it was there's a QR code on it. You scan the QR code and a um you get a website, and the website allows you to print a T-shirt, commemorative T-shirt of when I met
Yes.
Rex,
Yeah. So on the back,
and
it says scan for t shirt, commemorative t shirt of this moment only. And it'll have like I can even hold one up here. And it'll have, here's an LGA one for LaGuardia.
for I met you made one just to go to the airport.
Yeah, of course. For
That's so
LaGuardia. I
fun,
have ones for exit row. It's a pleasure meeting you in the exit row. And then I got,
dude.
I'm a big exit row guy.
Oh, really?
Working
Like
my way
the
up to business class, but we're exit row
see,
right
we
now.
start with the leg room to begin with.
And and then on the back it says it'll say that, and then you scan that, and then it links to a t-shirt that has a similar message to the card. It was a pleasure meeting Rex at LGA, and then you could get that delivered in 2 to 5 business days.
So the thing that I love about this, right, is that it is on the one
Hmm.
hand, it's playing with economies of scarcity, it's performance art, it's a way to remember in a experience a media saturated moment, and it's just funny, it's cool. Like it just struck me as really cool. Where did this start from? How did you get on this project in the first place?
Yeah, so thank you so much. No, so it started as in 2017, like Blue, my sister, she got booked for to DJ something at Art Basel, and I was like, okay, I'm into art. I better go down there. I'll go down there with her, and I'll
Right,
have some and I'll support and whatever, and then I'll have some business cards on me because I know there's going to be all these movers and shakers. Like I got to have business cards. I was just in a frenzy, like, oh my God, I need some business cards for this, but I got to make them cool and like interesting and some sort of art world joke a little bit. So then I did. So as I was making them, it just came to me that I was like, oh, I should write. It was a pleasure meeting you at Art Basel 2017. Just make it specific.
right.
And then that was like a real hit down there. Not that I met anyone necessarily so big, but I was just giving them to, whoever I met. You don't know who anyone.
Sure, yeah.
I was just
People
like,
just
oh, hey, it
reacted
was
like,
nice meeting you. Yeah, here's my card. And then I kept on doing them for different things. And first it was like more general, like it was a pleasure meeting you in New York. Pleasure meeting you. I had a show in Kansas City. I was like, it's a pleasure meeting you in Kansas City, USA. And I would just make these cards for everything. And then it was just the more specific I got, the better it was. And then
sure,
I got faster at doing the turnarounds, and I had my file on my computer ready, so I was able to make it a little bit quicker. And then more recently, a couple years ago, I started adding the t-shirts, which is a new addition. So
yeah. And what was the impulse there? I mean, is that just like a COVID project? I can do this, so I might as well, or was it like a oh, I can
yeah, well, it was kind of
add an
it was
ancillary revenue source or something?
right. I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah.
It would be not. I mean, maybe I thought it would be an ancillary revenue source, but it's pretty difficult to make money on it. Honestly, it's just a
Yeah, of course.
it kind of goes back into the business, I should say. But and I definitely probably lose money on the whole thing with all the time and paper, and then the fees of like hosting the site with all these t-shirts on it. But and everything's just print to order, so you don't like lose money necessarily. But yeah, but I was just like, it was just even more hilarious to have a merch item that's like specific to this moment. And I just got, yeah, with the new developments of drop shipping and being able to like print a single item, um, that like really unlocked something for me. I've always liked merch and commemorative things, and it's like, and I'm hip to it as well as like a musician. Everything is merchified, and thinking of
Right.
ways to do that. And I just thought, yeah, the more specific a merch item would be, and it just goes with the cards. I don't know. I just it just makes the whole bit a little bit better that there's like a T-shirt you can buy at the end of it.
Yeah. Does it extend beyond the business cards and the T-shirts? Like, is there an art print? Is there a I don't know what commemorative certificate that you emboss
Yes,
and
I
get
have
signed in a
these.
notary public?
I do. I have certificates of authenticity. Let me see if I have one here. Yeah, because I used to do I did one big party once for my birthday where I had like all the cards. I had all the cards. I had a big retrospective, I called it Rextrospective
Retrospective.
of all the cards
Amazing.
and I had like one of every card that I'd done from that moment, but I had to in order to keep the like make the cards more uh the ones that were actually given out in real life like
Yep.
more special, and to that moment I had to make card replicas. So I like watermarked all the cards that I printed for the retrospective as like official replica of the original, because I had to artify the old ones to
Right.
keep
Okay.
so that they could retain their
Sure.
authenticity. So it created this whole kind of um I don't know, Andy Warhol style. I don't know that kind of what is art and what is scarcity and all these things. So I had to, in order to retain the scarcity, because I don't want people to think, oh, I can just print another one and then that one is different. So I had to, and I was putting cards on little inside like glass, and they were rotating like the first ones ever, that I had, and I had them hanging up. And what else? I had
Was that and is that at a gallery or is that just
that
a
was at it was like a party space that we kind of turned into a gallery. My friend's restaurant that she does events in Brooklyn, and I
got it?
also had people dressed up as me to to like walk around and like give cards out exactly at so I was playing exactly at certain times, and it would be like, it was a pleasure meeting you at 8:37. So at 8:37 I'd be like, give these cards out. At 9:18, give these cards out. So I was
Wow.
doing really, really extra specific ones for that moment. And then I was also I was authenticating people's old cards. They could bring it in and I could authenticate it.
Do- I mean,
And I had
so
certificates of authenticity. So it became a
does that
whole art project mode, because I don't know, I had to think of a way, how can I artify the cards more if in like a gallery setting.
in it,
So I had to create those moments.
was that out of a pursuit, informed by Warhol, let's say, that is like, I'm going to make this an art practice, or was it just sort of this will be a fun experiment, I can get away with it, and then the theory comes to you after the fact?
Yeah, I mean, the theory was, first it started of just like, the this is why it's so important to follow your any idea you have, because it leads to other things. But yeah, first it was just, oh, let's create like this fun moment in the moment with people when you meet them, and it creates like a I don't know, it feels like synchronicity. Like
Sure.
you're creating these moments, like, oh my god, how did you know that this is happening? So that's a really great experience in real life when it happens. Then I was thinking of, it creates this kind of performance of giving the card, which is good. And then also just in your days, like I also do dates. Like I have I was
Wait,
doing just
you don't mean like romantic
like
dates,
no, no,
like
no,
what?
like date cards. Like it'll just be like Saturday 6 7 New York City, the weather and the moon phase. I don't know if you can
Okay,
see any
got
of
it,
these.
got it.
Like I would just every day doing them, kind of like on an on Kawara type beat. You know that artist with his
Of
date
course,
paintings.
yeah.
Yeah,
Japanese artist who's famous
yeah,
for white text on black paintings, which are just of the date.
of the date. Yeah,
Very austere, very, very modern.
yeah. So then I was like, okay, I could kind of lean into that a little bit and do those as well. So then no matter where I am, I always have a card for that day, which is good. Um, and and it kind of just creates like this. It reveals more how life is a performance, and that like every day is a little something could happen. I don't
Yeah,
know. It kind of makes you live every day with some intention when you have a card ready for every
I,
interaction.
I love that. What I love especially about it, Rex, and I think that's the spirit that took me when I first found the card, was that it's a way of making a chance interaction special and notable without trying to imbue it with some sort of cosmic significance or, woo woo energy, like, look how in touch with myself I am because I
Yeah.
acknowledge these that, it's just sort of like, yeah, this is cool. This is like, here's a little bit of cultural ephemera that I took away from a moment that I will now remember more clearly and more succinctly than other stuff.
Yeah. And it makes the moment more important in a way. Like if you make a card for like, Wednesday, October 29th, and the weather and the moon phase in New York City and all these things, it's like you're elevating the moment to be something
Yeah,
special when it could just
that's
be any
cool.
other day. So
Dude,
that's kind of a fun moment.
I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. All right. Well, so we've now gotten sort of halfway through of what will be an abbreviated episode because I'm here at this conference. But and I'm excited to see Blue DJ tonight. By the way, the ostensible purpose of these chats is to act as a companion for SIC, the newsletter that I publish on Wednesdays, which is like a digest of developments in marketing, advertising, so on and so forth. And I always ask my guests what struck them about some of the articles that I've identified as being interesting. I gave you almost zero time to go through the list today, and the
Uh-huh.
list is gigantic. But I am interested to know what immediately sort of pops off to you as a creative person, as a New York City resident, as a traveler of the world, as a marker of time and moments. Like, what's happening right now that you think is significant, and was any of it captured in those links?
Um, let's see. I like the could art be as good for your health as exercise conversation.
So this is an article in the art newspaper this morning, and it talks a little bit about the artist. Uh, oh man, Jr. Sorry, I lost him. The French photographer installation artist who um, does gigantic photo reproductions of let's call it communities and individuals from around the world on location in those spots. Um,
Right. Okay.
So Jr. is somebody that I have met and know a little bit, or knew. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's very interesting because he uses a very simple disguise, a hat and sunglasses, to operate anonymously in public spaces. And
Hmm.
I thought that was, I mean, A, I think he's interesting for that reason, but B, like this notion of art being a health benefit was not something I'd seen raised before. Have you ever heard that before?
No, but I've been thinking about that a lot with AI because everyone's just talking about AI and it's gonna take
Of course.
our jobs, and especially in the music industry, people are talking about AI music and all this stuff. But I'm always saying, and I was talking with some people from Guitar Center who are very big higher ups at Guitar Center, and they're with instruments and stuff. But just thinking
Yeah.
about the beauty of or the importance of art making or any sort of skill. I mean, it's just weird when with AI, if you just get reduced down to your urges, where you're just like, you can't write an email, you can't write a sentence, you can't play an instrument, you can't do anything. I don't think that's like, I don't worry about it. Like making music that is better than what a person would make. I don't even know if that is as
Yeah.
important as the idea that there's going to be so many people who don't exercise that part of their brain or their
Right.
spirit, human spirit of like knowing. It's not about like, oh, there won't be a famous superstar artist anymore. Like it's going to be, they're not going to know how to do it. It's more like the amateur. I don't think that's good for the world or for the universe about the
Right.
losing some of the amateur art making that I think is really important to like people's spirits and the community.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Like this notion that, as in any industry, but art and music obviously really strong examples of it. It is only the smallest sliver of people who ever do it professionally or ever do it to any degree of what we would call success, right? Financially
Hmm.
or career wise. But there are so many people who do it because it makes them feel good or because it allows them to practice something, or it allows them to get to a point where they can do it. And so you see it as a vector of like the AI discussion, where if all of that craft, maybe to use a bigger word than you intended, but
Yeah.
is stripped out, then what's really being stripped out is like a whole dimension of human experience. And
I
yeah,
think we need craft. I think we need a little bit of, I mean, well, that's why I thought it was interesting putting it again with exercise because it's like, we don't need to run around and hunt for food anymore, humans,
that's true.
but we put it into our lifestyle to exercise
Because it makes us
because
feel
that's
good,
like,
right?
it makes us feel good and it's good for you. So then I guess art is maybe was going to be that way where it's like, oh, well, you have to get your couple hours of craft in or a couple hours of, I mean, it's like what school is when people are like, oh, what am I going to use this math for? It's like now looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's not, it's more just the craft of like, doing it and exercising your brain a little bit. And I don't know, it must help in some way, but it's not like you're
That's
going to need like, to know about tangents and stuff.
well, I mean,
But
tangents. I think tangents are one mathematical thing that you probably do need. Well,
yeah.
no, I f- I think that's right. The interesting thing, and I'm interested. I want to know as a professional musician among other creative pursuits, where you feel like in your heart this is actually going. I had a conversation recently with the chairman of a big record label group
Mhm.
who said, when 40% of or 30%, I think is the number of tracks on Deezer, the French streaming service, are
Mhm.
made by AI, this represents an existential thing for the music business. And I hear what he's saying, but I also don't know if I agree because the fact that something is there doesn't mean that it is good. It doesn't mean that it is consumable. It doesn't mean that it will find your way to you. It just means that it's there. And I
Doesn't mean it's being does that mean it's being listened to also if it's
no, that
30%? I
no,
just think
that's
that shows the rate at which they're being uploaded because it's
right.
like AI slop in the same way that it's on TikTok or whatever. It's on the streaming services as well.
Yeah.
It's like a
Well, that
scheme.
and so this a roundabout way of getting to my question is I went to I used the new Firefly AI thing that Adobe has as part of this whole conference last night to make a picture of the scene that I was in. It was the group of us traveling in a bus up to an event at the Roosevelt Hotel, and the image that you get back is good at it continues to be good at first glance, and then upon further inspection it is very not good in a number of different ways. And I wonder, as a musician, if you listen to Velvet Sundown or whatever that band was that became
Yeah.
famous on Spotify, and you just go, yeah, there's something not right about this. Like if there's an oral or a vibe level of that's akin to the too many fingers problem in
Hmm.
visual AI creation that you can hear in that music.
That's interesting. I do hear a little something because I think, and I don't know, I have to talk to somebody that makes the AI programs of how they do it,
Sure.
but it's the same thing with I don't think they're not building the songs like in the same way that a person is, and that we're doing like layers, like you're doing like a drum thing and then like bass on top, and then like, and you're recording that all together, and then it's like the final stereo mix bounce. I think they're doing it by like the full on waveform together. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's very like final product right there. So there's always something weird in like the semblance or the I don't know the like when you use an AI stem separator, it's also the same thing. You lose some of the attacks because I think they're just getting at they're like recreating a waveform of a final track versus like building it. I'm not sure. Maybe they are though. Maybe or they're going to switch their programming to be that way. I
Well,
think. I mean, I don't know. I think there's definitely a place where it's going to be. It will be. It's going to be very. They're going to make very compelling music that is going to move people, and I don't think that's like. I don't think that's. Yeah, I don't agree with the people who are like it can never replace a human or whatever. I'm like, no, it could be a very moving piece of music. Could come from an AI experience.
okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder whether the what they talk about as the uncanny valley ever is crossed as well as it needs to be, right? Or to what level there needs to be that personal involvement, that musician's ear that goes, oh yeah, instead of dropping everything onto the, musical plane at one time. You have to layer it in the following way in order for it to work almost
Yeah,
alchemically with the human brain, and to trigger the emotions and stuff. So
I think so.
it's
I mean,
interesting
yeah, there's
interesting to hear
no,
you say that.
yeah, no, there's no, yeah, it doesn't like stand out as like, I think the AI stuff like puts a lot of like amateur, maybe like mediocre whack stuff out of business in a way, which is why I worried about the amateur musician because I was like, but it's still like worth pursuing, just for your own, if it makes you feel good.
Yeah,
Yeah, for like a real like smash, I think it might be I don't know. They don't sound as good as those to
I,
me.
I, I said to this again,
But if you
extremely.
have people, oh, sorry to interrupt you, but if you have kids who are growing up on like the only, you know what I mean? It's like if you don't have access to human made really good music and you're growing up with like just AI music like in your life, then like you're going to be more, I don't know, it's like a nature versus nurture kind
Nature
of
versus nurture
situation.
thing.
And then you're going to be growing up in that world of like AI, and then maybe you're going to be very moved by these uncanny valley type pieces, and that's really going to speak to you, and you're just going to love that music. So that, and if you
Yeah,
never played an instrument and never did a thing, so then that is going to be music to you. You're going to be like, wow, a song's so good. What prompt did they use?
I think it's interesting that the similarity in a certain way. I mean, I hear what you say, and you mean in that, or I hear what you're saying in that, and it's a little bit like the Sex Pistols or whomever seeing the Ramones for the first time and being like, "Oh, we only need three chords," and that being the dawn of a kind of a DIY style of music, and it becomes punk and influences all of these the future in an interesting way. The accessibility that's presented there is interesting,
Mm.
but yeah, I guess from my standpoint, it's there's the artificiality pervades and persists, and it is perceptible, not to be too alliterative, all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah, I mean, I really do tell, but there's something like, I guess it's just me because I'm like weird. There is something like interesting
Oh, for sure.
in the weird ones, like when I'm on Sora or something. I'm like, wow, it's like bizarre. And it's like fun, when AI is worse, I always say this too. It's like when the robots are like bad, it like gives it a personality. It's like Wally. It's like when I used to do a lot of AI haikus when like ChatGPT first came out.
Sure.
I was like writing, a bunch of haikus using it because it was just like funny to see what it would put out and like with the prompt and the thing. And like as it's worse, when it's first learning how to do stuff, it like almost gives it a little bit of a personality. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of like, oh, that's interesting how they came up with it. And
I
it takes
think
the
that,
place of a personality. And then as it gets better and better and more human, it seems more robot
yeah,
and more weird.
more human than human, to quote our friend
Yeah,
Dietz.
exactly.
Well, listen,
Exactly.
Rex, this has been a pleasure. Where do people find you? Um, and how do they get their hands on business cards and just generally, participate in the Rex the Tiger
That's
ecosystem?
right. You can find me on Instagram at Rex DeTiger, REXDETIGER. You can you can come up to me at anywhere I am or at a DJ set or something, and I'll have some cards on me, always strapped. And then sometimes I've mailed some cards out before too. I have special mail
Little
cards that I,
mail series.
yes, a mail series that I won't reveal. Um,
Oh, okay. So that's not a hit
yeah.
you on DM situation. That's just a
No, no,
like.
you can hit me on DM and I can mail it, but I'm not going to say what they say.
Oh, okay, got it.
You have to get it in the
Oh,
mail.
all right. See, now another side quest unlocked.
Another side quest to unlock. Yeah, and these are just different ways to connect.
Well,
Yeah,
I love, dude, just to reiterate it, I love the spirit of that, and I think it's really cool, and I'm, and more so than anything else, I think it embodies a kind of a sense of possibility that you're saying yes to this conversation with 10 minutes to spare also demonstrate. So I
Hmm.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Big fan.
Dude. Well, thanks. Listen, next party at my house, you got to be there, and we got to actually see each other next time. And
For sure.
in the meantime, thank you again, Rex the Tiger. Everybody, thanks for listening. And
Thank you.
look for Rex on Instagram, look for SIC on Substack, and we'll all talk soon.
Bye-bye. Peace.
Later, guys.